Is Medi-Cal going to come after your house when you die? Well, maybe, maybe not. Hi, I'm Kevin Knaus with InsureMeKevin.com, and Medi-Cal estate recovery is always a big topic amongst people who have Medi-Cal, who are over 55 years old, and who enrolled and received Medi-Cal through Covered California. And for the most part, the short answer is those folks are not subject to estate recovery. But I kind of want to lay out the big picture of Medi-Cal and some of the caveats that go with that. Now, Medi-Cal, like I said, is a big program. It is administered by the Department of Healthcare Services, which is underneath the Department of Managed Healthcare at California. And one of their programs is estate recovery. And that is somewhat put in place by the federal government because Medi-Cal is California's version of Medicaid, the federal program, and the federal government pays for some or sometimes most of the different Medi-Cal services. And one of the ways that they negotiate the reimbursement rates is, having different rules and conditions for eligibility, and one of them being recovering some of the costs that is spent for a Medi-Cal beneficiary. And those recovery of those costs help lower the cost for everyone else. So anyhow, many different programs have estate recovery associated with it, and there are many programs within Medi-Cal that do not have any estate recovery associated with it. And the list is big that Medi-Cal services. There are all kinds of different programs within Medi-Cal, for pregnant women, mental health, dental. Of course, there is Medi-Cal, fee-for-service. It's a big organization. Now, in 2020, the Affordable Care Act was passed, and states could opt into what they call expanded Medicaid. And that Medicaid, or expanded Medi-Cal in California, is based solely on your income. There are no assets associated with that. Now, if we look at Medi-Cal in California, with the expanded Medi-Cal, we can break it up into kind of two different sides. Now, Medi-Cal is like this big umbrella of a mushroom, and all those little gills you see underneath the underside of a mushroom, those are the different programs that Medi-Cal has. And all those little spores that make up little baby mushrooms, those are the different rules. So, there's a lot of different programs, a lot of different rules. But for the mainly, when it comes to health, there is conditional Medi-Cal, and then there is Magi Medi-Cal. Now, conditional Medi-Cal applies to people that are disabled, people who are over 65, some disabilities, and you have to have a particular condition, and there are conditions for eligibility. Specifically, you can only make so much money. There's an income test and an asset test. I think today you could only have $2,000 in assets for conditional Medi-Cal, sometimes called aged and disabled Medi-Cal. Now, with the Affordable Care Act came Magi Medi-Cal. Magi stands for Modified Adjusted Gross Income. And the people at Medi-Cal are very familiar with Magi, as you are if you're in Covered California. And Magi Medi-Cal is based solely on your income. It does not look at your assets. You can have lots of money in the bank, you can own lots of homes, cars, businesses, but if your income isn't high enough, then you are Medi-Cal eligible. Now, when expanded Medi-Cal came along, these are two big programs, and not all of the rules necessarily aligned. And some of the rules spilled over onto the new programs, and one of those was estate recovery, which essentially says that if you're over 55 and you partake of certain Medi-Cal programs, then you would be subject to estate recovery. Estate meaning your assets when you pass, your estate. And that the California would try and recoup some of the costs. Now, this was primarily directed at people in skilled nursing facilities or receiving home and community-based services, things that cost a lot of money. My dad was in a skilled nursing facility, and we had to spin down. And it didn't take very long because I was writing $4,000 or $5,000 checks every month to the skilled nursing facility. This was several years ago. So his savings after we sold the house, that vanished very, very quickly. But he was on Medicare and for conditional Medi-Cal, and for Medi-Cal to pick up the cost of the skilled nursing facility when he had no assets, we had to spend down. Now, health insurance is part of the costs of Medi-Cal, but with the expanded Medi-Cal and there's no asset test, that kind of, and you couldn't, with expanded Medi-Cal, if your income is under a certain range, you don't have the option to give a private plan with the subsidies. So in 2016, there was a gentleman that proposed, it was Senator Hernandez, Senate Bill 833, and that kind of rewrote the rules a little bit to clarify that estate recovery, Medi-Cal estate recovery, was going to apply to skilled nursing facilities and home and community-based services and those programs for those people. And it would kind of carve out Magi Medi-Cal. When you're on Magi Medi-Cal in your county, you are enrolled in a Medi-Cal Managed HMO plan. It might be county-based. It might be from a private company like HealthNet or Anthem Blue Cross Partnership Plan or something like that. And that private company or that county, SynCal or Cal Optima, they assume all the liability for your healthcare costs. And the county just pays the plan a capitation rate, a monthly rate. And it's, maybe $500 or $600 per month. But of course, if you have Magi Medi-Cal for 10 years at $500 a month, that still gets pretty big. But the whole issue was you didn't have a choice because your income wasn't high enough to get the subsidies with the private insurance. So hence SB 833 that kind of narrowed where that estate recovery is targeted to. Now, if you go through a lot of the estate recovery literature on Medi-Cal, they don't necessarily say, if you're in Magi Medi-Cal, you're not subject to it. And I have to read a disclaimer when I take someone into Covered California about the estate recovery. And it's kind of odd wording, but if you really look at it, it's talking about estate recovery applying to skilled nursing facilities and hospitals. That is all conditional Medi-Cal, not Magi Medi-Cal. And if someone's in a skilled nursing facility and it costs $5,000, $6,000 a month, maybe the California does need to go after the estate of those people to try and recoup some of the cost, because that is quite a big chunk of money that the state is paying every month to the skilled nursing facilities, and rightly so, because we need to take care of those folks in those facilities. But the estate recovery is not applying to people with Magi Medi-Cal. Now, that's really high level, and it may not apply in all direct situations, especially if someone transitions or if you become Medicare eligible before you turn 65. There's a lot of different things going on, so always contact your local county caseworker to determine exactly what's going on. But in general, if you have Magi Medi-Cal, what the county pays, what California pays on your behalf for that Medi-Cal Managed HMO plan is not subject to estate recovery provisions through Medi-Cal. Hopefully that answers some of the questions. If you have any others, you can email me, leave comments. I don't know. I'm not a Medi-Cal expert, just trying to clarify things, but I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching. I'm Kevin with InsureMeKevin.com.